For the next 2 hours, you're invited to listen to Christmas on the Blues. This is Christmas on the Blues. 2 full hours of the greatest entertainment has to offer, brought to you by the Blue Network from Hollywood, New York, San Francisco, Paris, Pearl Harbor, and the European battlefront. To make your Christmas a merrier one, you'll hear
Paul Whiteman and his orchestra,
Wendell Niles and Don Prindle,
Lawrence Tibbett and Risa Stevens,
Walter Winchell,
the Andrews Sisters,
Alan Young,
The Life of Riley, starring William Bendix,
Andy Russell,
Charlotte Greenwood,
the Fred Waring Chorus,
Ed Wynn and his son Keenan,
Joey Brown,
the Paul Taylor Chorus,
Herbert Marshall,
Westbrook Van Bury,
the famous voice of the March of Time, who will introduce our fighting men and women who are spending Christmas on far-flung battlefronts all around the world.
and last but not least, the woman who heads our cast of over 200 actors, singers, and musicians,
Our mistress of ceremonies, known to servicemen everywhere as Our Gracie, Miss Gracie Fields.
Hello, everyone. A Merry, Merry Christmas. I'm so glad you could be with us today because we're all in for one of the greatest listening treats in the history of radio. 2 full hours of music and fun with some of the biggest stars in radio. But even better than that, some of you folks who haven't seen your loved ones in the service for a long time will have the thrill of talking with them overseas through the facilities of the Blue Network. So let's begin our 2-hour show right now with Paul Whiteman and his orchestra, the Paul Taylor Chorus, and a lively Christmas carol called Deck the Halls. Whiteman.
Thanks, Gracie, but boy, I'm kind of worried.
Well, what's the matter, Pops? Didn't Santa Claus fill your stocking this morning?
Oh, sure he did fine in that department, Gracie. Sandy brought me lots of war bonds, and that's for me. It's filling up these 2 hours that worries me.
Why, Paul? We have lots of famous people.
That's the trouble. We got too darn many. How are you ever going to get all these big names into a puny little 2-hour show?
Well, the best way I know is to start introducing them as fast as we can. And first, I would like you to meet a brand new team of comedians who are going to work for Hires Root Beer on January 24th at 10 p.m. Eastern Wartime over the Blue Network. So Christmas on the Blue gives you a preview of this new show starring Wendell Niles and Don Prindle.
Thank you very much. Merry Christmas, everybody. I'm Wendell Niles.
And I am Don Prindle.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to start our little contribution on this Christmas Day in a friendly manner. Now, to begin with, we want to know you, we want you to know us, and best of all, we want you people out there to know each other. Right, Don?
Right, Wendell? How about everybody in our audience getting acquainted with each other?
Say, that's a great idea. Now, look, we want all the men in our audience, turn to the lady next to him. That's it. Now, all right, now introduce yourself to the lady and get acquainted.
There's a sailor in every crowd.
Well, now that we're all familiar with each other. Say, Don, how about telling the people something about ourselves, huh? They probably want to know who you are and where you came from. So what's your story, Don?
Well, there's not much to tell, Wendell.
Thank you very much, Don. Now, suppose you tell us about yourself. Hmm?
Well, it's just the usual story of a genius.
I see.
Poor boy kicked around. People said I was dumb, lazy, and worthless.
Did they actually use those words?
Yes, but now those people have changed their tunes.
They're still using the same words.
How true, yes, how true. What's your story, Wen?
For the past 2 years, I've been announcing the Bob Hope Show, but of course, Bob won't be with us on our show.
Yes, I read in the paper there's no hope for our program. I suppose as an announcer, Wendell, you have to have a pretty fair education. Did you go to college?
No.
High school?
No.
Grade school?
No.
Tell me when I'm getting warm.
Now, wait a minute, Don. I have proof that I went to school right here in my pocket. Now, you see this little card? That shows that I was in 3A's.
Wendell, that card happens to be from your draft board.
It is? I thought it was funny they made me get undressed in front of the principal.
Well, now that we've uncovered your past, let me say again that we're happy to be out here in Hollywood starting our new show. This Hollywood is a great place for an outdoor man.
Oh, you said it, Don. I didn't know you were an outdoor man.
Yes, I've been living outdoors for the last 6 months. I expect to find an apartment any day now. It isn't bad. Come right in.
Pardon me, but are you the two gentlemen who are looking for a furnished room?
Yes, we are.
Well, I'm from the Schnook Rental Agency. Now, we've been all over town, and the only thing we can find is the bridal suite at the Plaza Hotel. Mr. Niles, do you wish to take the bridal suite?
I do.
And you, Mr. Prindle, do you wish to take the bridal suite?
I do.
Very well. I now pronounce you room and bath, $5 a day.
And now, Wendell, if you'll kindly run along, I have a little Christmas story I'd like to tell all the folks.
Run along? What do you mean, Don? You're not staying out here without me. We're a team, you know, Niles and Prindle. After
what do you
all,
mean?
man.
I just want to tell a story.
How can you act that way when we've been lifelong pals? Why do I have to make all the sacrifices?
What do you mean, make sacrifices?
Well, don't you remember we were in vaudeville together?
You mean the time we played the part of a horse?
Yes. Didn't I go to the front for you?
Yes. What a part I had.
Well, we ate, didn't we?
You're half ate. And now, do you mind if I tell my Christmas story? I'm very proud of it, Wendell. I wrote it myself.
Oh, you wrote it yourself, huh? Well, has the Blue Network censor Dorothy Brown seen it?
No, why should the censor see it?
Well,
I don't need a censor for my story, little story.
Look, Donnie, you don't seem to understand. You're new at this racket. Now, I've been on the air a long time. You realize there are a lot of things that you can't say on the radio. Now, what if your story contains some naughty words?
I beg your pardon. I happen to be an Eagle Scout.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right, Don, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Now, I'll let you read your play, but I'm going to have to censor it as you go along because Dorothy isn't here. Now, if I hear one risque word, I'll ring my little bell. I have it right here. Now, like that. You get it?
Yes,
Okay, now you tell your story.
Okay, my story takes place on Christmas Eve. A boy and girl are riding along a country road far from the city's hustle and bustle.
Can't say bustle on the air.
But I have to say bustle. This takes place in the back country.
I'm sorry, Don, your bustle is out.
My what?
Your bustle is out.
That's just the way I'm built.
Truth. Go on with your story, Don.
Well, they're riding along a country road. Suddenly the boy stops the car.
They got to keep riding.
But Wendell, he's out of gas.
You'll have to change it. I'm sorry.
But he hit a tree.
You'll have to change it.
He had a flat tire.
Oh, well, that's okay.
Then you change it.
Go on with your story, Don.
The young man looks around for help. Mm-hmm. Suddenly he sees bright lights and hears music coming from a cocktail bar.
No cocktail bar, please.
He hears music coming from a roadhouse.
No roadhouse.
The choir is singing Sweet Adeline. So he turns to the girl and says, "Do you want to dance?"
No dancing, Don.
He pulls out a package of
No
cigarettes.
smoking, sorry.
He offers her a drink.
No drinking.
All right. She doesn't dance, she doesn't smoke, and she doesn't drink.
She doesn't?
No, in fact, Lloyd's will give you 10 to 1. She's dead. Anyway, the hero walks up to the door of the cafe and decides to step in.
Can't say step in.
I'm sorry, it was a slip.
Can't say slip.
Why can't I say slip?
Because that also comes under the censor's ban.
Underwear?
Can't say underwear, I'm sorry.
Well, you know how those things creep up on you, yeah.
Will you please finish your story, Don, after all?
Well, okay. Suddenly the boy hears the girl scream. A big animal is coming out of the woods.
Bear?
No, he had a hat and coat on. What kind of a... Well, the savage beast grabs the boy, crushes him in his powerful arms. He can't breathe. He stands there and pants. All right, I'll drop the pants. No. In the meantime, the girl has gone for help, and she comes to the rescue with a man from the FBI. Oh, for garden seed. Now I went and did it. Ring the bell, ring the bell.
What's the matter?
I had to go and say FBI.
Well, Don, there's nothing wrong with saying FBI.
Yes, there is, Wendell. I'm ashamed of myself, really. You realize that the FBI is a government bureau?
Well, sure. What of it?
Well, a bureau is a dresser. A dresser is a chiffonier. The chiffonier is a tall thing with drawers, and drawers is a naughty word.
On the blue makes me feel a little blue.
Oh, how can that be, Gracie?
Well, I'll tell you all about it, Pop. Again it is Christmas, again it is Christmas, again it is Christmas again. But that never thrills me, the thought of it kills me, I tell you it fills me with pain. It makes me remember a Christmas gone by when I was extremely upset. A night in December, an evening that I would very much rather forget. For I took my harp to a party, but nobody asked me to play. The others were jolly and hearty, but I wasn't feeling so gay. They might have said, play us a tune we can sing, but somehow I don't think they noticed the thing. I took my harp to a party, but nobody asked me to play, so I took the damn thing away. Mrs. Morgan to play her mouth organ and somebody else did a dance. They made Mrs. Carter perform a sonata, but I wasn't given a chance. A North Country person called Sandy MacPherson played bagpipes and took off his coat, while both the Miss Fawcett's bust out of their corsets in trying to take a top note. They sang Home Sweet Home and the banks of Loch Lomond, then all the king's horses, then trees, while nephews and nieces kept playing their pieces and spreading their jam on the keys. A daughter called Lena played her concertina. We all played ridiculous games, till old Mr. Dyer set his whiskers on fire and the fire engine played on the flames. But I took my harp to a party, but nobody asked me to play, so I took the damn thing away. Thank you. Before we switch you to New York to hear American families talk with their fighting men overseas, I'd like to remind you of just one thing. Those valiant men and women are spending their Christmas in muddy shell holes, jungles, and on desert islands so that we can spend Christmas in our warm, comfortable homes. Help bring them back next Christmas by buying more bonds than you have ever bought before. Please don't forget them this Christmas. And now, Christmas on the Blue takes you 3,000 miles across America so that you may hear Mr. Westbrook Van Voorhees, the famous voice of March of Time program, heard each Thursday night at 10:30 over the Blue Network. We take you now to New York.
Thank you, Gracie Fields. A down east Yankee Christmasing in the tropics may well yearn today for snow drifting against the stone fences of New England. But a southerner somewhere near the Arctic Circle may dream not of a white Christmas, but of poinsettias blooming in red Alabama soil and the crackle of children's firecrackers. To other frontline troops amid mud and cold and death and wounds, today we'll recall memories of warmth, of love and good cheer,
of stocking-hung hearths and the indescribable incense of a Christmas tree. To the millions overseas, today may well mean as many different things, for up and down this broad land of ours, Christmas is a local custom and varies like the people who make up America. It can be Christmas without Santa Claus, without a toy if the children are grown up, without a turkey dinner if there are only one or two to eat it. And mistletoe isn't very much without the right person beneath it. Christmas could be Christmas without any of these things. And overseas, there are GI Christmas parties for children in France, in England, in Iceland, in Philippines, and many another land. Somewhere in Italy, high on an Apennine hill, a pine tree glows with colored lights. Yet at home and overseas, one thing is lacking. The one thing above all else that makes for Christmas. It's the sound of a well-remembered and beloved voice saying, Merry Christmas. Today, the Blue Network does what it can to remedy this, to bring a few voices at home and a few voices overseas together. There are a few of those home folks in our New York and San Francisco studios right now. They must represent to the men overseas the loved ones at home, just as the chosen GI voices you will hear from overseas must represent their buddies who this day are busy with the war. To bring these representatives together, to let each hear the well-loved voice of the other, here's Doug Browning.
Thank you, Westbrook Ben Voorhees. This is the Blue Network in New York calling Harold Peters in Paris. Hello,
This is Harold Peters, the Blue Network correspondent in France.
How are you, Harold?
Fine. Merry Christmas, Doug.
Same to you, boy.
We have in the studios tonight, we've got 4 people who've been through different phases of the war for different periods, and we're very happy that we've been able to give them this chance to talk to their folks at home at this season.
And who do you have, Harold?
First, we've got Sergeant Henry Waldvogel. He's 25 years old, of Catonsville, Maryland.
We have his wife right here, Ronnie.
Well, he wants to hear about that new son that was born. He just got a telegram on the 6th of December, but he's still not sure of the date when he was born. Go ahead, Sergeant.
Merry Christmas, darling.
Hi, Ann.
How are you?
Oh, boy, fine.
Boy, that sounds swell.
Oh, good. Hey, it was born December 5th.
December 5th?
Uh-huh.
Good. And his weight?
8 pounds, 1.5 ounces.
Good. Who does he look like?
You, of course.
Me?
Certainly.
Well.
Hey, look, I got your flowers yesterday. Gee, they were pretty.
You liked them, huh?
You bet.
Did you get the others?
Yeah, Mother got those.
They were swell, huh?
Uh-huh.
Hey, how about the Christmas gifts I sent home? Have you got those?
Well, no, they haven't gotten here yet.
Oh, they'll be there.
How's the mail situation? You getting letters?
Just one on the 10th.
Son of a gun.
Huh?
Son of a gun.
How about mine?
I just got 2 Saturday.
You did?
But I've been writing every day.
Good for you. Me, too. How's the weather back home? White Christmas?
No.
No?
No.
That's bad. It's plenty cold over here.
Oh, well. You have some heat in the hotel now?
Yes, we have.
Oh,
what are you going to name me? Hey, incidentally, is it Junior?
Well, no, it's a 3rd.
Oh, I get it. What will his name be? Junior.
It's the 3rd.
Beg pardon?
It's the 3rd. No juniors for us.
Oh, I see. How's everybody?
Oh, fine.
Good. I'm going to take a break and say Merry Christmas to Mother and Dad.
Good.
I did it.
Good. Gee whiz, I don't know what to say now.
She'll come back after you talk to your mother and dad. Why, she can come back and say Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Mother and Dad. You know I'm thinking of you. Hey, Ronnie?
Yeah.
What's Bob doing?
He's out at sea now.
Yeah?
Can't say where, because I don't know.
How's the car running?
Oh, fine. No more accidents.
Well, you know what? This is the swellest Christmas gift a fella can have. Or that is, outside of being home. Really
Ronnie,
wonderful to hear your voice.
We're going to have to cut off the conversation. Will you say goodbye to them?
Bye, darling. Merry
Bye,
Christmas.
sweetheart. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
All right, Harold. Who else do we have now?
The next one we've got is Sergeant George Boardingham of New Rochelle, New York.
Well,
He's a radio operator and gunner in a medium bomber, and he just completed his 10th mission yesterday and jeeped all the way down to Paris to get up for this broadcast.
Fine. We have his family here, and a young member that you no doubt can hear over there.
Well, we hope we're going to hear him because he saw her when she was 3 months old on his way over to this theater. He spent some time in the Pacific, and he just got a break to see her when she was 3 months old. She's 6 months old now.
Good. Well, here's a greeting.
Go ahead.
That's the greeting. Now, here is... That's right. Here is Mrs. Boardingham, your mother.
Go right ahead. Hers, Mother.
Oh, much love this Christmas, George. It's wonderful to hear you.
Oh, it's swell.
Isn't this a wonderful Christmas present?
Yeah, it's swell.
Oh, that's great.
How have you been?
Oh, I've been wonderful.
That's good. And Dad?
Oh, he's grand.
That's
you should
good.
see him.
I'll bet.
You should see him with 100 pounds more on since last Christmas.
100 more?
Yeah.
What does that make it?
George, I want to tell you something.
Yes?
Speaking to you today and having Doris and the baby with us has made this a wonderful Christmas for us.
Uh-huh. Well, how's Dad?
Wonderful. God bless you, boy. And
Okay.
every mother's daughter and son all over this world.
Okay. Merry Christmas.
Hello, darling.
Hello, darling.
How are you?
Oh, fine.
How was the Jeep ride?
Oh, very good.
That's good. Can you hear the little one shouting?
Yeah, I hear her.
She
How much
annoys
does-
the devil now.
How much does she weigh now?
16 pounds and a couple of ounces.
Uh-huh.
She's on
Good
3
deal.
meals a day.
Uh-huh. Are you
Thank-
getting my letters?
Yes.
Good deal.
You getting mine?
Well, a few.
A few. Few and far between.
Yes. Are you smoking a pipe yet?
No, I'm still smoking cigarettes.
Good deal.
Which reminds me, I sent you some.
Thank you.
You may get them.
Thank you. Oh, gee.
Hello, George.
Hello, Pop.
How are you?
Oh, fine.
That's good.
The best of health.
You talk to Doris again.
Okay.
Hello, darling.
Are you?
Fine.
Okay.
By the way, you're going to get another pair of socks.
Say, I need them.
Yeah, I bet you do. Cold feet.
That's all the time we have.
Hey, that little one makes a lot of noise.
Yeah. Well, goodbye, darling.
Goodbye, darling. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Say goodbye.
Bye,
Goodbye, son.
Bye,
Good
Mom.
luck.
Bye,
Bye,
Pop.
George.
So long, Pop.
This is Blue in New York saying goodbye to Paris for the time being. See you later.
We'll stand by.
Right. We return you now to Hollywood.
In a short while, we will hear from another group of fighting men and their families. But right now, we want to hear Paul Whiteman and his orchestra and the Paul Taylor Chorus in one of the outstanding musical arrangements of 1944, Holiday for Strings. on your Philco Hall of Fame broadcast, which comes over the Blue Network on Sundays at 6 p.m.
Thanks for the plug, Gracie.
Thanks for the arrangement, Paul. Now we want you to meet a young comedian who has been voted the most promising star of tomorrow, who we can hear at 8:30 Tuesday nights when he broadcasts for Bristol Myers. He is, of course, Alan Young. We take you now to New York.
Thank you, Gracie. Oh, Kenny Delmar.
Yes, Alan?
Yeah, Kenny, I just finished the most wonderful Christmas dinner. We had a 30-pound turkey, and I invited some fellas over from the Air Force.
Oh.
What eaters! When that turkey came in, some of them began gunning for the legs, another was gunning for the breast, another was gunning for the wings.
Yeah, what about you, Alan?
Rear gunner.
You come from Canada, Alan. What kind of Christmases do they have up there?
Oh, wonderful. I remember how on Christmas morning I walked through the living room, flung open the kitchen door, and that aroma. The laundry steaming on the stove. I thought it smelled too good to be food. But a few months ago, I left home, Ken.
Yeah, were your parents sorry to see you go?
Oh, yeah. On the day I was leaving, my father called me over for a few parting words. He said, "Hey, son." He always called me Hey. He said, "Son, you're leaving home. And it's time I was talking to you like a Dutch uncle. So,
Yes, of course.
Of course, he said it in Gaelic.
I see. Well, did you have a good train trip down here,
Oh,
Alan?
I had a compartment right at the end of the car. A wonderful compartment. There was only one thing wrong with it.
What?
Every time the train stopped at a station, the conductor locked me in.
Well, you certainly have changed since you came down here from Canada. You're not as naive as you used to be.
Oh, I'll say I'm not naive, no. In fact, last night I went up to a girl's apartment. I sat there for 2 hours with the lights turned out.
You did?
Yeah. Then she came home and turned them on, so I had to leave. Really went out stepping. I went to the store club. Hetty Lamar sat at a table right across from me. Of course, I winked at her.
Yeah, what did she do?
What did she do? She sent a waiter over to ask me for a dance.
She did?
Yeah. He was a pretty good dancer for a waiter, too. But seriously, I would like to show you the first girl I ever met in the United States. It was the second week I was down here, and I had a blind date. Somebody gave me this girl's address, and I'd never seen her before, so when I walked up onto her front porch, she was standing there waiting for me. Are you Betty?
Why, yes.
Well, hello.
Alan Young, it's you.
Yeah, and it's you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, should we neck?
Oh, why don't we just sit on the porch swing here? I don't want to wake up Grandpa.
Okay.
Oh, it's fortunate we got together.
Yeah.
You know, my being here is quite unexpected.
So is mine. My mother wanted a girl.
Do you do much reading, Mr. Young?
Oh, yeah, I read all kinds of books.
Oh, good. So do I. Do you like Little Women?
Yeah, but I like books, too. You, care to feel the muscle in my arm?
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Oh, my. Your arm is as hard as a rock. How did it get that way?
Got a rock up my sleeve. See, Betty, you know, you're about the prettiest girl I ever saw.
Oh, Mr. Young, you're fooling.
Yeah. I like you, Betty.
I like you, too. Mr. Young, are you going with anybody?
Yeah, anybody. Oh, I had a girl once, but I quit going with her because she was so deceitful. Every night she used to tell me to put my arm around her because she was cold. And she wasn't.
What did you do when you were sitting alone with a girl like this?
Oh, we used to play post office.
You did?
Yeah. We just sat there, and then I opened my mouth, and she rammed a package down my throat. See, it's getting a little darker, getting a little quieter, too. Betty, will you sit on my knee?
But, Mr. Young, what about my grandpa?
He'll have to stand. I can't seat the whole family. Betty?
Yes, Mr. Young?
What I'm trying to say is, are you doing anything tonight?
Why, no.
Oh. You doing anything tomorrow night?
Why, no.
Oh. You doing anything Friday night?
Why, yes. I have a date Friday night.
Oh. Well, some other time, I guess.
But, Alan, you were going to ask me something.
Yeah, Betty, I was wondering...
Hey, what time is this to be making love to my granddaughter?
8:30.
Oh, all right. Good night.
Good night. Betty, what I'm trying to say is, do you believe a fella should kiss a girl right away?
Alan Young, you want to kiss me?
No? I mean, yes.
I don't know what to say. I've never kissed a man before.
Well, neither have I, so we start even. I've wanted to meet a girl like you, Betty. I've wanted that more than anything else in the world. Even more than a hat with cherries. Of course, I don't show my excitement because my technique is the calm, sophisticated.
Alan, you've got a head on your shoulders.
Get it off! Sorry, I mean, well, if you don't want to kiss me, of course, after all, you know what they say in French?
No, what?
Huh? Well, I guess they can say pretty well anything in French. What about it, Betty? Will you kiss me?
Oh, I don't know what to answer, Alan. My heart says yes. My head says perhaps. But my soul says no.
Huh? What do you hear from your liver? Betty, I'm going to take you in my arms and kiss you. And then...
Hey, I'll teach you to kiss my granddaughter.
Too late. I already know.
Oh, all right. Good night.
Good night. As I was saying, Betty, I'd like to be with you because you look just like my uncle.
Oh, Alan, you mean I look like my aunt, like your aunt.
Whose aunt?
Your aunt.
Let's not louse up our families, kid. Keep your aunt out of this. And take my word for it, you're better off looking like my uncle. Betty, I want to take you in my arms, and then I want to...
All right, now, supposing you just tell me what's going on out here.
Why, nothing at all, Grandpa. Mr. Young was just going to kiss me.
Oh, he was he? Well, nobody kisses my granddaughter unless they're gentlemanly about it. Now, go ahead and let's see just how much of a gentleman you are.
Well, okay. I was just going to take her in my arms like this.
Yes?
And draw her close to me like this.
Yes?
And then kiss her like this. There.
Well, I guess that's all right. But now suppose you put me down and try it out on my granddaughter.
We pause briefly in this Blue Network Christmas program for station identification.
And here's Gracie Fields again to carry on with Christmas on the Blue.
And to start off our second half hour, we have the pleasure of presenting two of the great stars heard on the Texaco Metropolitan Opera program Saturday afternoon at 2. We can't, of course, bring you an entire opera, but we are fortunate enough to be able to bring you Mr. Lawrence Tibbett singing the famous Toreador song and Miss Reese Stevens singing the beautiful Seguidilla from Carmen. Mr. Tibbett and Miss Stevens will be heard with the Metropolitan Orchestra under the direction of Cesare Sodero. We take you now to New York.
Pour plaisir, il tend les combats. Le cirque plein ses jours de fête. Le cirque plein du haut en bas. Les spectateurs perdent la tête. Les spectateurs s'interpellent. Le grand flacon. Encore changeant combattant, comme noir taragone, et glamour t'attend, toréador, l'amour, t'attend. Après silence, ah, que se passe-t-il? Plus depuis très longtemps, le taureau s'élance en bandisant, auditoril. Il s'élance, il entre, il frappe, un cheval roule, entraînant un picador. Cadre de taureau, il me la foule. Il vient, il faut encore un second, c'est pas de rire, un détour, le cirque est pas de sang, quand se trouve un fragile aigri, c'est un tour maintenant, encore,
The best Christmas gift I've had today.
You're more than welcome, Reese. You know, music that reaches the boys who are far away from home at Christmas is a mighty important part of the season for them.
Yes, I know it, Larry. I've seen them in the Army and Navy hospitals all over the country. It's not only a privilege, it's our job to sing for them.
Well, then, Risa, what's your part of our Christmas package this year?
I think I'll sing another aria from the famous Carmen, Larry, the Seguidilla.
Pas de cire, chez mon ami le basque, j'irai danser la séguédille pauvre du Bazania. J'irai chez mon ami le basque. Oui, mais tout se lance lui, et les vrais plaisirs sont tenus, donc pour mes pénibles compagnies, j'emmènerai mon
join you now to Hollywood.
From the Metropolitan Opera House in New York, we return to Hollywood only long enough to introduce our next guest. There are lots of nice things I could say about him, but if you are one of the millions of American listeners who tune in to the Jurgens Journal at 9 o'clock Sunday night, I am sure that nothing more need be said than we take you now to Walter Winchell.
Attention, Mr. and Mrs. United States. Christmas Day celebrates the birthday of the only king few common people have recognized. They love him because the only realm he has ever asked is the kingdom of their hearts. But the next 2,000 years of history will be a whole lot happier than the last 2,000 if the rulers of this earth would remember that the Prince of Peace is also the King of humility. The agony of humanity can be measured now, as it always will be, by the distance it has departed from his teachings. The terms of the only permanent peace treaty were written thousands of years ago, and they have never varied. They are the Sermon on the Mount and the Ten Commandments. They were not ushered in by flamethrowers, machine guns, warships, rocket guns, or armored cars. They were brought by a baby, born in a stable. Today, on 100 battlefields, the young men of this nation are fighting his fight against greed, intolerance, and injustice. For those who fight, the nation prays that he be with them. And those who have made the supreme sacrifice, the nation knows are with him now. This Christmas, there is a special soft light from the Star of Bethlehem for the gold star in the window. He left no handwriting. Like many another great message, his words were not first written on paper. He knew that all great messages must be simple enough to be written on men's hearts. He personally spoke to only a few men, but millions of people have repeated his words. Now, through a great and a good industrial miracle, your radio, tens of millions of people can hear his message of eternal tolerance and decency without going out of their homes. The forces of evil use radio in code, a secret weapon. But for free men speaking in the open, it is public weapon number one. For every secret enemy communique in the field, the Blue Network alone sends millions of public messages into American homes to rally American citizens to the cause of our country. Messages vital to the welfare of its free citizens, and therefore vital to the welfare of our nation. Yes, the Blue Network will be functioning long after the last enemy wireless set is silenced. But until the day that all men speak under the general bond of charity and tolerance, the decent people of the world have no choice but to speak with weapons and war bonds. We are fighting for the bond of his brotherhood, underwritten by a promise 2,000 years old. And no more effective method of helping exists today than by purchase of a war bond underwritten by the United States government. A great American war president, nearly 100 years ago, stated America's only war aim: to do the right as God gives us to see the right, and to do that with malice toward none and with charity toward all. That will be as valid 500 years from now as it was when it was repeated nearly 100 years ago by Abraham Lincoln, because it was said over 1,900 years ago by the man who gives us our hope and our strength today. And that great permanent purpose of America is why a United States war bond is the greatest possible expression of the general bond of all mankind. Ladies and gentlemen, I feel privileged to speak of humanity's debt to radio today because no man owes it more than I do. I believe from my heart that with the advent of radio, the forces of evil lost their greatest confederate, secrecy, and the forces of good gained their strongest ally, easy, direct, and public communication. In expressing my debt to radio as an invention, I would feel remiss if I did not express my appreciation of the Blue Network in particular. I am proud, as a broadcaster, to have the use of such a great instrument of civilization as the radio. But I am particularly proud, as a Blue Network reporter and commentator, to say that I believe this instrument of civilization is treated by the highly civilized executives of the Blue Network as a sacred trust of the American people and the people's priceless Bill of Rights. And now, may I present one of the working trustees of your Bill of Rights, a man whose high purpose matches his greatest responsibilities, Mr. Chester LaRoche.
Thank you, Walter. You are truly a national institution. Now, in this, one of the great public service programs of the day, I am sure all of you who are listening will not feel it out of place. If in behalf of the Blue Network and its 190 stations, and for Mr. Noble, our chairman, I thank the famous stars and our overseas staff who have worked with us to make this program one of which we are proud. A program which we planned in the mood of the day for your pleasure and relaxation. It is our way of saying Christmas greetings and thanks for your loyalty to the Blue. As you share the spirit of the day with those dear to you at home, we of the Blue Network are mindful that out of your hearts pours forth a mighty prayer to those of our flesh and blood overseas. They are fighting for what we so profoundly believe in, that this is far and away the greatest country in the world. If all these prayers surged into one, they would swell into a mighty chorus, a voice so loud that over the roar of the guns every one of our boys overseas would be sure that despite our temporary flaws or our failures of the day, never before was a home front so determined to stand shoulder to shoulder with its fighting men. The Germans and the Japs brag of their efficiency and unity of purpose, often brought about by the Gestapo and the point of the gun. But their efforts can never match ours. On D-Day, our leaders told us that we had met every demand for guns and supplies. The American volunteer method, based on information, had beaten the fascist method based on compulsion. But now, the news from the Western Front makes it clear to all of us that our leaders must ask us to do far more than we have ever done. But let us not wait. Let's get the radar equipment, the trucks, the tires, and the ammunition. Let us pile up supplies, pile on pile, until there is never again a question of enough. The Blue Network will cooperate with our war leaders in making clear what we are up against and what is needed. We will present fearlessly all sides of a problem. Our commentators are allowed to express their own opinions. They need not conform to ours. We are not afraid of the result if the extreme liberal or the extreme conservative viewpoints are heard, as long as both are heard. Our faith is such that we believe, given all sides of a question, our people will act soundly and with judgment. That is the basis of democracy. To help make democracy grow and assume its rightful place in world leadership, we pledge ourselves to find new ways to use the full power of radio, liberally and progressively and unafraid. Thank you.
We return you now to Gracie Fields in Hollywood.
This is Gracie Fields in Hollywood again, and right now I would like you to meet three young ladies who are starting a brand new program on the Blue Network next Sunday, 4:30 p.m. for the Nash Calvinator Corporation. Christmas on the Blue presents the Andrews Sisters. Sisters have survived the ordeal of Christmas shopping very well.
Well, Gracie, we didn't have any problem at all this year. Christmas shopping was easy. We gave mostly war bonds.
You couldn't have picked better presents.
And they're so easy to wrap.
And they'll be so wonderful to unwrap in a few years because they will be worth a lot more money. But better than that, They will help win this war. Now then, what are you gals going to sing for us?
Well, it being Christmas, we couldn't think of anything better than Jingle Bells.
Well, okay, then let's hear Jingle Bells.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun to ride and sing in a one-horse open sleigh. Dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh. O'er the fields we go, laughing all the way. Bells on bobtails ring, making spirits bright. What fun it is to ride and sing our sleighing song tonight. Jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh. O'er the fields we go, laughing all the way. Bells on bobtails ring, making spirits bright. Oh, what fun it is to sing our sleighing song tonight. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh.
Now we throw our studio doors open with a great big bang to give as hearty a welcome as we know to that great star of the entertainment world. From the Blue to you, our Christmas good wishes, Herbert Marshall.
Thank you, Gracie, and greetings of the season to you, and to all the Blue, and all America, and all the world, with obvious exceptions.
But I know I speak for all of us when I say that we lend our ears on Saturday night to your show, The Man Called X, without fail.
Oh, thank you. I never miss your show, Gracie. It's excellent.
Well, thank you, but your show has so much excitement and pace and drama.
Oh, my dear Gracie, I must protest.
In fact, we have a spot on our show for you as Mr. X. X marks the spot.
Now, you shouldn't have bothered.
Oh, presenting Herbert Marshall
No,
in The Man Called XYZ.
Oh, really? I did.
In the case of the missing clause, or Kris Kringle comes a cropper.
The double cross.
Extra, Santa Claus Christmas, we know about it. Let's see our dream and Santa Claus Christmas.
Calling Santa Claus. Come in, please. Calling Santa Claus. Come in, please. Oh, Santa Claus, come in wherever you are.
And here, radio listeners, is the latest news about the mysterious disappearance of the well-known gift tycoon Santa Claus. The Greenland Weather Observation Post saw Claus riding a fair wind with his reindeer prancing along in good shape. Weather conditions remain favorable, but he's not been heard from since. Foul play is suspected. The Emergency Council is now meeting in New York to take steps.
Gentlemen, you've been called into the Emergency Council to see if you can make suggestions as to the possible cause of the disappearance of Santa Claus. But you have been of no help.
As battling a case as I, Sherlock Holmes, have ever met and must.
Amazing, my dear Holmes, amazing.
Shut up, Watson.
Yes, my dear Holmes, get off.
We are desperate, gentlemen. Do you realize that if Santa Claus does not show up, millions of people will be without gifts? Where's the Thin Man?
He slipped out under the door. The saint went down to the bar. The FBI took Mr. Moto back to the clink, and Charlie Chan got his tongue caught in a proverb. Gentlemen, there is only one answer. We must call on the man.
You mean
Yes, I mean...
Oh, you don't mean my...
No, I don't mean his...
But you do mean...
If you don't mean me, I'm going back to my Christmas dinner.
It's a he.
The man
Call me why. I'm in disguise.
Oh, won't you slip off your disguise, Mr. X? It's so hot in here.
Yeah, it is a little stuffy.
I resent Pat X.
Sorry, old boy, I meant to be offensive. Now, you will see me as I really am. I remove my beard, my dark glasses, and my false nose. Presto. Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Well, Mr. Chairman, we are baffled by the disappearance of Santa Claus, who was last seen in his sleigh heading toward this country.
We must find Claus. How did you hear from him before he disappeared?
He's on our shortwave two-way beam, but now he does not answer our call-up. We suspect foul play.
Indeed, if we didn't suspect foul play, we detectives would have a devil of a time making a living.
No, that's a good one, X. Oh, that's a very good one.
Shut up, Watson.
Oh, my dear Holmes.
Have you the transcript of the log on the shortwave station just before his disappearance, about not being too technical?
Why, yes, here it is, right here.
Uh-huh. Calling S. Claus. Calling S. Claus. Over. This is S. Claus. Wind 90, speed 150, course 190, ceiling 210, correction, ceiling 200.
I wonder what made him lower the ceiling.
Obviously the OPA. That was Claus's last transmission.
Yes. Then the radio announcer read the news.
Yes, I have it right here. Quote, tonight the OPA... I knew they had something to do with it. Tonight the OPA decided... very interesting.
What could the OPA say that would affect Santa Claus?
Gentlemen, the case is solved. And not only that, but I've got 2 clues and a wet footprint left over.
Wonderful. X brings home the bacon.
Bacon X. Oh, that's a very good one.
Shut up, Watson.
Oh, Holmes.
There's not a moment to lose. Come on, all of you. Here we are. Hurry.
The shortwave station. X, you're stubborn as a mule. I feel like a blind sheep following you on a wild goose chase.
Or would you rather be a fish? Quick. Give me the shortwave transmitter circuit that Santa Claus is listening to.
Here's a microphone, sir. But we've been calling him without avail. I fear he's crashed, sir.
This is X testing. 1, 2, button my shoe. 3, 4, shut the door. Calling Santa Claus. Calling Santa Claus. S-A-N-T-A. S-A-N-T-A. Message for you. Message follows. What you heard on the news broadcast does not, I repeat, does not apply to you. I say again, what you heard on the news broadcast does not, I repeat, not apply to you. Come in, please. Over.
This is Santa Claus. Roger. Taking off for the United States. Course 190. Full speed ahead. Stand by for a chimney landing in every home in America. That is all. Over and out.
Did you hear that?
Good old hooray!
Mr. X, we cannot thank you enough. But how did you ever find out what made Santa Claus stop his trip from the North Pole? What did he hear in the news broadcast?
Elementary, eh, Mr. X?
No elementary, Mr. Holmes. Here is what made Santa stop his trip. I read the news from the broadcast. Quote, tonight the OPA decided that the meat shortage is so acute that reindeer will now be sold in butcher shops.
You're amazing, my dear.
Shut up, Watson.
Oh, Holmes, go home.
Many thanks to Herbert Marshall, better known as the man called X. Now it is time for another visit between the servicemen who are spending Christmas overseas and their families who are wishing they were here in America. To bring you the second overseas pickup, we take you now to Westbrook Van Voorhees in New York.
At home, a lot of the fun of Christmas is in the suspense. Wondering what is in this or that package. Yet scrupulously obeying the injunction, do not open until Christmas. Overseas, the U.S. fighting man could hardly be blamed if he opened his Christmas box as soon as it came, GI packs being as heavy as they are. And long ago, long before December 25th, news pictures reached the U.S. showing GIs unwrapping these gifts mailed away back last October. After all, fruitcake tastes good any time, and socks and sweaters are as warm December 1st as they are today. So, far from home, their presents unwrapped. Today, for many a U.S. fighter overseas, is one more day of mud or dust, cold or heat. Food from rolling kitchens or K-rations. GIs in the U.S. have a fighting chance to call home. But all the transatlantic and trans-Pacific lines together could never take care of all the fighting Joes overseas who want to talk to the best girl in the world, whether she's mom or wife or the girl next door. Now, here's Doug Browning again.
Thank you, Westbrook. Hello, Hal Peters in Paris.
Hello, Doug.
Who do we have over there to talk to in the way of some boys?
Now, we've got Private John Marsala of Brooklyn. He's here in the studio with us. He was wounded at St. Lo last July by a landmine, but he's absolutely all right now, and he's waiting to talk to his mother and father and his two sisters.
Well, by golly, we've got him right here. Here is his mother.
Hello, Mom.
Hello, John.
Hello, how are you?
All right, Johnny. How are you?
Swell, Mom. Don't worry.
You have a nice Christmas, John?
Yeah, swell.
I hope you got a nice Christmas and Happy New Year.
Good. How about you?
All right, we have a nice Christmas, John.
Well, how's Pop?
He's all right.
That's nice.
You're going to talk to him in just a minute.
All right, good.
Everybody's all right, Johnny.
That's
you
swell,
know,
Mom.
Johnny is Nicky's in prison war, you know.
Yeah, I heard
He's
about
enjoyment.
it.
He's all right, Johnny.
That's swell.
All right, Johnny.
Don't worry too much, Mom.
Okay.
How would you like to talk to Evelyn now?
Put her on, please.
Here she is.
Hello,
Eve.
Chip.
Hello, Eve.
How's the kid, brother? Chippy.
Hello, Eve.
Hello, darling.
How are you?
Fine. How are you?
Okay.
That's good. I hope you have a very Merry Christmas, Chippy.
Same to you, Eve.
Listen, darling, I would have brought Patty, but you know how she is. She's starting to crawl around. But she's at Carl's mom's house. Do you want to say hello to them and a Merry Christmas, please?
Right.
They're listening in.
Okay. Who was that?
Carly's mother. Will you please say hello to them?
Hello there, Mrs. Ritter.
Thanks, darling.
Merry Christmas to you, and Arthur, and all the rest out there.
Now, how about Dad?
Here's Pop.
Pop?
Hello, Johnny. How are you?
Pop.
Okay.
Gee, it's good to hear your voice.
Oh, yeah, nice. Listen, Johnny, I want to ask you a question.
Yeah?
You receive any money?
Yeah, I got it, Pop.
Okay, nice.
Don't send any more, though.
That's right.
Bye.
Now, how about the other sister, all right? Here she is.
Hello, Johnny.
Hello, Angie.
How are you?
All right, how are you?
Okay.
That's swell.
Johnny, will you say hello to Charlie? He's listening in.
Charlie?
Yeah.
Hey, Charlie. How are you, boy?
I wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Same to you,
Take
honey.
care of yourself.
Now you have 15 more seconds to say goodbye to Mom, all right?
Okay.
Johnny, take care of yourself. God bless you.
Yeah, same to you, Mom.
Johnny, you received the package I sent you?
And,
With the cents?
yeah?
Yeah, where, Johnny? Where you are, Johnny?
Huh?
Where always it?
Yeah, I will, Mom.
God bless you.
Same to
All
you.
right, bye, Johnny.
God bless you all.
All right, Hal.
Merry Christmas.
Who else?
Now we have Private First Class Francella Justina of the WAC.
Right.
She's from Utica, New York, and she's the typist here. She's been taking notes in shorthand, so I think she'll have a lot to say to her parents and her sister.
That's right, Mr. and Mrs. Justina.
We'd hoped to get her fiancé up to the mic, but he's a flyer and has lots to do, and he couldn't get away for Christmas leave, so you'll probably get the message from him through her sister and her parents.
Well, here is Mrs. Justina.
Hello, Mother.
Hello, Franya. How are you?
Fine. How are you?
Thanks. Fine, good. How are you?
Fine. How's Daddy?
Okay.
How's Sis?
Who?
Sis B and Helen?
Everybody okay.
That's fine.
Stanley okay, and Mary and George, Uncle John and Sophie, everybody okay.
Is Cousin
Your
Stan
brother
home?
John okay.
Is Cousin Stan home?
Yes.
And Aunt too?
Yes.
Oh, that's fine. How's Pug?
Okay.
That's swell.
Here he is,
Send
right
you love
here.
you kisses. God bless you and your comrade too.
God bless you, Mother.
Here's Dad.
Hello, Tanya.
Hello, Daddy. How are you?
Pretty good. How are you?
Oh, fine.
Good. Merry Christmas to you and Happy New
Christmas,
Year.
Daddy.
You know, Aunt Mary tell you same thing.
Same.
George Uncle too.
That's
you know?
fine, Daddy.
John Uncle too.
That's swell.
How's you got a Christmas over there?
Oh, very good. I got 9 packages today, Dad.
All right. Listen, Francis, you be careful yourself, you know,
Yes.
because...
Have you heard from Bob?
No, Bob's not here.
He's not here.
Yeah, he's over there by the Young, near you, I guess. He's over there. Well, goodbye.
Bye, Daddy.
God bless you.
Where's this B?
Be here.
Right here. Here's Benita.
Hello, sis.
Hello, sis. How are you?
Oh, I'm just fine. Isn't this a wonderful Christmas
It's
present?
the best Christmas present I got yet.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Did Cousin Stan come home?
Yes, he is, and he sends you his love, and he says he's saving a bottle of champagne for you.
Yes, swell. And Cousin Ad, too?
Oh, he's grand. He was home just a short while ago, you know.
Oh, that's swell, yes. I got a letter from Pensacola from him.
Oh, wonderful. Did you get all our packages?
Yeah, 9 today.
Oh, that's grand. You must have had a
Yes,
nice Christmas then.
Very good. This is the best, though.
Oh, that's swell.
How's your Helen?
Oh, she's just fine. They all send you their love.
Uh-huh. Likewise to them.
That's grand.
Well, how about Mother saying goodbye now, will you?
All right, bye, Mother and Daddy.
Goodbye. Goodbye, my dear.
Bye,
Goodbye.
bye.
God bless you.
Thank
Goodbye,
you.
Franya.
Bye-bye, Daddy.
Goodbye, Frank.
Bye, sis.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
We pause briefly in the Blue Network's Christmas program for station identification.
From Hollywood again, we're starting the second hour of Christmas on the Blues. You'll hear Ed Wynn, Andy Russell, Charlotte Greenwood with Charlie Cantor, the famous Fred Waring chorus, The Life of Riley starring William Bendix, then Joey Brown, who will introduce more American families speaking with their sons in the Pacific combat zone. Here again is Gracie Field.
And now Christmas on the Blue has the pleasure of bringing you an intellectual discussion on the finer things in music. And this discussion will take place in New York between the famous Metropolitan Opera commentator, Milton Cross, and the famous authority on anything ridiculous, Mr. Ed Wynn. We take you now to New York.
Hello, Ed.
Hello, Milton.
Well, it's very nice of your sponsor Bordens to present you in Happy Island every Friday night and then to give you to us today.
Yes, I'm glad to be here, Milton.
But, Ed, I can't imagine what we'd have in common.
Why not? I used to be a musician, you know. I made my debut when I was 11 years of age in Carnegie Hall as a violinist. Didn't you know that? Oh, right in the middle of a violin concerto, Milton, the whole audience got up and walked out of the hall into the street. So I went out on the street and played the violin and chased the audience back in a hall again, you know.
Well, I didn't know you were musical.
Oh, my whole family is musical, Milton. My brother used to play one of those big violins. What do you call that, the biggest violin in the orchestra there?
Oh, you mean the bass viol.
A bass viol. My brother used to play one of those. He played it for 8 years, but the family made him give it up because it hurt him socially. You know what happened? Whenever he asked a young lady to dance, just from force of habit, he'd grab the girl around the neck with one hand and beat her on the back with the other.
I'm sorry, Ed, but you don't sound like a musician to me.
Oh, there isn't a thing I don't know about music, Milton.
I have my doubts about that.
Well, you ask me a question. Go on, any question.
All right. What's the difference in the contrapuntal technique employed by Shostakovich in his Allegro con moto as opposed to the Largo motivations in the fugues by Bach?
No coaching from the audience now. I'll get this thing here.
You see, you know nothing about music.
No, you don't think I do, eh? I consider myself... Hand me a violin there, Milton. Here's a violin. Here. You understand music thoroughly, I suppose.
Well, my pretty good judge of it.
Do you hear that note?
Mm-hmm.
Do you hear that?
Yes.
Well, you know so much about music. What opera is that note from? Huh? I guess that settles him. Just a musical ignoramus, that's all.
Well, Ed, that may be. But to strike a serious note for a minute, we have a special guest this afternoon, and I think you're just the man to introduce him.
All right, Milton. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you will permit me to drop my comic mask and appear before you as a human being. If I were asked why our next guest should be on this program, I'd say, for one thing, that he's probably the fastest up-and-coming young comedian in the movies. I think he proved that in See Here, Private Hargrove, in which he didn't have the title role but got more attention from the critics than anyone else in the picture. I think he's also the most versatile young comedian in pictures, too. But I think that he is entitled to a spot on this great Christmas show today because at the present time, he is making 3 pictures simultaneously, also being an assistant director on another picture, and still found time to write a story, which is going to be made by MGM. That is why I think this young man should be with us today, and not because he happens to be my son, Keenan Wynn. Keenan isn't in New York, so we're going to try to contact him in California. Hello, Dad.
No, that's my line, Pop. I say hello, Dad.
Oh, I thought I'd say hello.
No, you got it kind of mixed up.
There's my son now. Hello, son.
You got another line, Pop. You say, I miss you, son. I got to have the right cue.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah.
Oh, I miss you, son.
Well, I miss you, Dad.
Well, I miss you very much, son.
I miss you very much, Dad.
You do?
Yeah.
Now I know how George Hardy felt when Mickey Rooney was drafted. I don't know. But I want you to know, Keaton, I'm very proud of you, my little baby boy.
Hey, Dad.
Yeah?
I got news for you. I'm no longer a little baby.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not. Since those days, I've added 25 years to my age.
That's funny. I've only added 10 to mine.
Say, look, Pop, I hate to disillusion you, but I'm a man.
Oh, you always wanted to get old quick. I say you're a baby. Even when you were a few months old, you were the only kid who wore a dighty with a belt in the back.
Well, I guess I must have given you a lot of trouble when I was younger.
You gave me a lot of trouble when you were younger. You were certainly a problem.
Well, it was your own fault, the kind of education you gave me.
Why, what do you mean the kind of education I gave you? There was no kid who knew so much as you. 2 years at Smith, 2 years at Vassar, 3 years at Wellesley.
Those are all girls' schools.
They were all girls' schools. Mm-hmm. Well, there was no kid who knew as much as you. That's all I'm saying.
Well, those days are gone. I'm an old married man now.
I can't believe you're married, son.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I can't believe my baby boy is married.
Yeah. And your baby boy has a baby boy of his own, little Edmund Wynn.
How do you like that? My son has a son. How do you like that? I gave my son a splendid education. I sent him to the finest schools in the East. I bought him 7 speedboats, 3 expensive foreign cars. I squandered a fortune on him, and that's the thanks I get. Just when I'm starting to go out with young girls again, he makes me a grandfather, the rat.
Well, you just got to face it, Pop. You're a grandfather.
I'm a grandfather. Well, I don't feel like a grandfather. I don't even feel like a father. I feel young. I'm going out with girls. I dance to all hours. I'm having a great time for myself.
Pop.
Yes?
Does your vitamin pill taste different lately?
Does my vitamin pill taste different lately? Well, all I can say, son, is there's not enough room in this family for 2 comedians.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Well, I'm talking about you. Oh. Why don't you go into some other line of business? Are you sure you wouldn't be happy running a gas station?
No, Pop. I'm doing too well in Hollywood.
Yeah, I guess you are doing well out there. Yeah, I guess you're a big success.
Yeah.
Right now, I think you're a bigger star than I am.
Oh, no, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
Well, if you say so, Pop.
For heaven's sake, you didn't have to give in that easy, did you? You sure... Are you sure that you wouldn't like it better selling insurance?
No, I'm happy in Hollywood.
You're certainly making out pretty well, aren't you, son?
Well, you wanted me to make good, didn't you?
Of course I wanted you to make good. But there's such a thing as overdoing it, you know. Ah, Hollywood. I remember when I was working there.
Oh, well, things have changed since you worked here, Pop. They're making pictures with sound now.
Oh, is that so?
Mm-hmm.
That's a nasty crack. I wonder whether a father can force a son to open up a candy store. That's what I like. Say, Keenan, since you're a big shot out in Hollywood, I guess you know all the stars.
Oh, some.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to ask you about a certain star out there.
Well, which one?
Well, I know you'll think this is silly.
No, I won't. Go ahead.
Well, I don't know whether I should.
Oh, go ahead. What is it?
Do you know Frank Sinatra?
Of course I know Frank Sinatra. Why, last time I saw Frankie, he took me to breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
You poor kid.
What do you mean?
You were being fed by a tube. Tell me, what else is new in Hollywood?
Well, let's see. Dorothy Lamour is married.
Dorothy Lamour is married?
That's right.
That's a shame. That's too bad.
Why? What's the difference? You didn't stand a chance with Dorothy when she was single.
Oh, I know I didn't stand a chance. But I can fire... Well, let me start that over again. I don't know. I feel so terrible about it. You say to me that I didn't stand a chance with Dorothy when she was single.
That's right.
Well, then I say I know. I can't fire a gun either, but I'm sorry when the hunting season is over. That's all I know.
Well, Dad, I hope New York agrees with you.
Oh, I love New York, son. I know everyone in town.
Really? Do you know Mayor LaGuardia?
Do I know Mayor LaGuardia? What a silly question. Every time I pass the mayor on the street, I tip my hat. And the mayor's hat tips him. Do I know the mayor?
Well, how's the family, Pop?
The family? Do you remember your Aunt Serena?
Oh, sure.
I mean the one who walks in her sleep?
Oh, what about Aunt Serena?
Well, last night she dreamt she was preparing tin cans for the war effort, and she woke up and found she had done the most terrible thing in the world.
Well, what was that, Pop?
Well, she dragged her husband to the bathtub, turned on the faucet, was stepping on his face, and then started to yell, "I'll flatten this one out if it takes all night." She said.
Well, say, Dad.
Yeah?
I forgot to congratulate you on your 50th birthday.
Yeah.
I want to congratulate you now, Dad, and I hope you live another 50 years.
Well, that's awfully sweet, son. I'm repeating this for the New York audience. You're congratulating me on living 50 years and hope I live another 50?
That's right.
Well, I believe I will, because I feel stronger right now than when I started the first 50. I don't know.
Well, before I go, Dad, what else is new?
What's new? Don't you know that I've got the most popular radio program on the air?
The most popular radio program on the air?
Well, not exactly the most popular program, but it's among the first 10.
The first 10?
Well, the first 10 programs on Friday nights, yes. Anyhow, it's got the biggest listening audience of any show.
The biggest listening audience of any comedy show?
Well, not exactly the biggest, no. It's not the biggest listening audience. But we got more laughs than any show.
Well, you got more laughs than any show.
Yes, any show like Inner Sanctum, yes. And besides, the sponsor, think of this, Keenan.
Yeah?
The sponsor has given me a contract for 5 years.
5 years?
Well, it's really 3 years. That's really what it is.
3 years?
Well, not exactly 3 years, no. But it's for 2 years with monthly options.
Monthly options?
Well, I'm on next week. You're not going to talk me out of that.
So long, Dad.
Many thanks to Ed Wynn in New York and Keenan Wynn here in Hollywood. It is rare in this business of being funny to find such a bond between father and son. And it is impossible in this business of winning a war to find a bond better than a United States war bond. Buy all you can as soon as you can, so that our fighting men won't have to spend another Christmas away from home. Once again, from the sunny shores of California, we travel across America to the snowy sidewalks of New York, and there, if everything goes according to schedule, we'll find a young singer by the name of Andy Russell. They tell me Andy has broken all attendance records since he has been back in New York. He is the star of his own very popular show on the Blue Network on Tuesday and Thursday night at 7:15. And right now, he is going to sing I Don't Want to Love You. We take you now to Andy Russell in New York.